Today's episode is extra special because it was actually first designed to be a self development program that you could take yourself through. I am so incredibly passionate about today's topic that I wanted to bring it to you live as this week's podcast episode. I promise by the end of our time together, you are going to understand what is getting in the way of you being able to make that decision to stay or go, or how to respond to the text, or what you need to do next in your life. You're going to know exactly how you can reclaim control over those runaway thoughts that always threaten to keep you small. And you're going to learn about how you can get more support along the way. Because guess what? We all get stuck sometimes. And it's about having the right community around us to hold us up. So, buckle up, Buttercup. We have a jam packed episode for you today. And I cannot wait to help you uncover what's really got you stuck. Welcome to the Crazy Ex-Wives Club, a podcast dedicated to helping women navigate the emotional journey that is divorce. I'm your host, Erica, and if you're trying to figure out life after the big D, welcome to the club. Whether you're contemplating divorce or dealing with the aftermath or any of the many phases in between, the club has got you covered. Each week, you'll hear stories from women who have been in your shoes. This isn't about spilling tea on divorce details. This is about giving you the tools to take control of your own healing journey. Listen in weekly for advice, tips, and tools to help you move through each stage of the process. Welcome back to another episode of the Crazy Ex-Wives Club. I'm your host, Erica, and today is all about the other F word, fear. Fear is my favorite topic of all time. It is the one thing that I love learning about, I love exploring, and mostly I love kicking its ass. Today, I'm going to teach you how you can regain control when fear has the best of you, before it spirals out of control, before it keeps you stuck, and before you waste any more time sitting in indecision that just doesn't feel good. But before we get into today's content, I would love to share a note from our sponsor. This episode of the Crazy Ex-Wives Club is brought to you by The Club, our private divorce membership for women navigating the emotional chaos of separation, divorce, or the ache of feeling stuck in a marriage you're not sure you want anymore. Inside the club, you'll find the clarity you've been searching for and the calm you forgot was possible. You get access to a proven framework to regulate your nervous system, release the emotional weight holding you back, and figure out what you actually want. We meet live 3 times a month for coaching, connection, and healing. And you have access to connect with all of the other club members to find your new divorce bestie. The club is more than just an online space. It is your community, your safe space, your place to rebuild, to claim who you truly want to be, and to pick up the pieces of the woman that you had to set aside in order to try and save your marriage. If you're interested in learning more about the club, visit thecrazyexwivesclub.com/the club. That's www.thecrazyexwivesclub.com/the club. Now, let's talk about fear and how to stop letting it run the show. All right, you guys, welcome to the other F word, how fear keeps you stuck. Now, when I first put this together, I actually wrote it as a self-development program. It was something that you could download, you could stream on the go. You could start to learn a little bit about why you feel so stuck. But because one of the number one things that I see that hold women back from finally being able to move forward and get the help that they need, that they crave, that they want, is fear. Fear gets in your head. It is what has you in that fight or flight. It's why you're so exhausted. It's why you're second guessing yourself all the time. And so often fear shows up and makes us afraid of the exact thing that we need to be able to move forward. And this is why we are taking the other F word from a private program into a public podcast so that you can listen to it as often as needed. If you see your friend struggling, if they're stuck, if they're worried, if you're hearing all those fear-based thoughts, send it over to them. This is about helping us all reclaim our power and stop letting fear run the show. Now, in my world, fear had completely taken over. I was afraid to try new restaurants for fear I was going to get sick. I was afraid to try camping because who knows if there was showers, bathrooms, toilets, all of that stuff. But the thing was is that I didn't know that it was fear. I thought I just didn't like it, and I had a reasonable explanation as to what, like I didn't want to go to a brewery because beer made me feel really gross. I had all these reasons. But at the heart of it was a fear that I was going to look stupid, that I didn't know what I was doing, that I was afraid to look like I didn't have it all put together. Now, for those of you who have been listening for a while, you know that I am a divorcee, I am a boy mom, and I am self improvement obsessed, which is why years and years and years ago, good, maybe 10 years ago, when I first started learning about fear, when I first started to uncover, oh, that is why I spend so much time over analyzing and second guessing. I dove deep into the rabbit hole of understanding what's happening in our mind when fear takes over, around how to regain control over it and how to be able to distinguish when is it me and when is it somebody else. And that's what we're going to walk through today on our show. Now, I do want to call out this. If you are watching on YouTube, you will see slides from today's presentation. For the rest of you who are listening on the podcast, do not worry. You don't have to see the screen. You can listen along. But if that is something that you crave, I would love to have you over on our YouTube channel. It's the Crazy Ex-Wives Club over on YouTube. You can follow along. We post our video podcasts over there and our audio podcasts on the other podcast platforms. So here was the thing. This was the thing that absolutely cracked me open to the concept that fear was controlling my life. And it is this quote: everything is either love or fear. There isn't anything else, you guys. We think there is. We tell ourselves, oh, well, Erica, I'm not afraid. I'm really angry. Well, Erica, I'm not afraid. I'm really frustrated that he continues to do the wrong things. I'm frustrated that he's not listening. I'm overwhelmed. I'm this, I'm that. Guess what? At the root of all of those other surface emotions is a fear. And so when we start to look at the world in colors or shades of either love or either fear, you're able to start to move forward towards what you really want. Now, I first came across this concept in my yoga teacher training. I had read a book by Judith Hanson Lasseter. She dove deep into this concept, and I took it away and I was like, yeah, right. And I really started to challenge it. But I started to look at every single time something didn't sit right. I asked myself, but why does that bother you? But why does that bother you? But why does that bother you? Getting deeper and deeper and deeper into the root. And as I got into the root, as I was able to reflect, I found that sometimes it was a teeny tiny little fear, a thread of worry, anxiety, doubt that was pulling on this bigger emotion. So I want you to think right now in your own world, what is your biggest fear right now? We all have them. It does not matter where you are in your divorce journey, where you are in your rebuilding. You could have a beautiful career and still be worried about what your next step is. So, what is your biggest fear right now? These fears start relatively small and grow until they become all consuming. Think about it. Fear, it's just this 4-letter word. And half the time, it's not even a real thing we're worried about. And yet, it has the power to keep us small. Phobias are real, right? I had a friend who got in a car accident in winter, spun out on the freeway, black ice, right? Couldn't see it coming. All of a sudden, boom, it was there. She still doesn't drive in the winter. She still has her husband take her to and from work because that fear has now gotten so big, it's all consuming. It's crippling her ability to be able to do things in her life. Here's the good news. Fear starts small, it gets bigger. The more we listen to it, the more we lean into it, the more we believe it. And you have the ability to take your power back. Fear does not get to control the show when you learn what it is and what it isn't. When you start to be able to identify, oh, this is a fear-based thought, not a fact based thought, then you can start to make different choices. Now, here's the spoiler alert: fear, it's kind of sort of all in your mind, you guys. Most of the fears we have are us actually projecting out into the future, out into something that we don't even know if it's going to happen. But our mind has created a story, a worry, a belief that it is, and that absolute destruction is coming if that's what happens. So let's take a look at what fear is and what fear isn't. Fear is a natural, unpleasant emotion experienced in response to a perceived danger or threat, whether real or imagined. Okay, guys, this is the definition of fear. Fear is simply an unpleasant emotion that we experience in a response to a perceived danger. But here's the thing, you guys: real or imagined. We have the same unpleasant emotion, physical experience, whether or not that thought is real. We can conjure up a deep fear in our mind and physically feel it in our day to day life. And that's why fear is so powerful. And that's why it's so damn tricky, right? Because we can feel it in our body. I feel this thing, Erica. I feel it in my gut. I feel it. I can't breathe right. I know that there's something there. And if you have been stuck in a state of fight or flight in your marriage for a really long time, if you've been stuck second guessing yourself, it means that those physical, unpleasant emotions, experiences, sensations in the body are so strong that you don't know whether it's real or imagined. You don't know if you're listening to your intuition or if this is just, again, fear playing tricks on you, because they feel the same way. It feels like that hit, that deep hit in your gut that you're like, oh, I need to pay attention to this. All right, so fear, the nitty gritty. If you're watching on YouTube, you're going to see a slide with a whole bunch of content on it. Here's what I want you to know about fear. First of all, fear, everybody has it. It was wired into us from the start of time, and its number one job was to keep us alive. Fear was this basic, intense emotion that arose when we detected a threat. That is a very, very, very helpful skill. That is an ingrained skill in our body that keeps us alive. The other part about it, though, is it creates a physiological response. So it releases stress hormones like cortisol, like adrenaline. That causes an increase in heart rate. It causes changes in blood pressure. It has a behavioral response, right? It can lead to behavioral reactions, an aggressive response. If you've ever snapped when you've been under a lot of stress or anxiety, there's physiological aspects such as increased anxiety, apprehension, a feeling that something is always going to go wrong. But I do want to call out that it's different than anxiety. Now, here's the thing: personal belief here. Personal belief is that if we do not nip fear in the bud, if we allow it to continue to plant roots and get bigger and stronger, it becomes anxiety. Anxiety is fear out of control. Anxiety ran my life during my separation. I was so confident and strong on the outside and so riddled with anxiety on the inside that I couldn't watch TV. I couldn't actually get my mind to focus on anything because the anxious thoughts, the worry, the fear was so loud, like the train was running in my mind. And it has an adaptive function. So it serves an important role in keeping us safe. So, fear, or this sensory perception of fear, the intense emotion that is aroused, is a good thing. The problem is we are so out of control and not allowing our systems to reset that we can no longer tell when it's real and when it's not real. So, fear, it's worrying about the future. It's being angry, being reactive. It's unable to make a choice or a decision. If you are second guessing yourself on things like even little things like, should I take this way home or this way home? Should I book this trip right now or should I wait? All of those, should I sell the house or should I keep the house, right? The inability to make a choice or a decision rooted in fear, constantly feeling on edge, that creepy crawly feeling that something is wrong, something is about to go wrong. It creates trouble sleeping, and it also shows up in creating backup plans for when the other shoe drops. If you are always creating I was so guilty of this. A plan for a plan for a plan. And how it showed up in my life was that I started to control the details, because if I could control the details, I could mitigate the things going wrong, which means I could kind of sort of control my happiness, which means I could avoid the fear or the worry or the anxiety. Spoiler, when you truly let go of trying to control everything, that's when you can actually be happy. Control is a false illusion that we are able to direct our happiness. And the more we try and control, actually, the unhappier we get and the more fear starts to show up. So, why is fear so powerful? It does three things. First of all, fear based thoughts hijack your mind. You have a really hard time distinguishing what is fear and what is your beliefs and what is truth or reality. Fear gets louder the more you feed it. So the more we lean into, ooh, that could actually happen, that might be true. Maybe I need to think about this. The bigger, stronger, louder fear gets. And fear creates a mental and physical reaction in the body, which is why it's so hard to distinguish what's real or not real, right? Your spidey senses are going off, which is telling you, oop, there's a threat. But then you're having a mental reaction to it because those thoughts are running and you're not even thinking them. They're on their own Energizer bunny doing their own thing. And the problem is, fear is really damn good at its job, like really good, because it's wired in us to keep us safe, to keep us alive, which means the more we feed it, the more we allow it to hijack our mind, the more it creates this mental and physical reaction, the better it is at stopping you from truly being able to move forward or make a decision or even just tell it to F off and know what you want to do in your heart. All right. So, why? How did we get to this point? We need to do a little deep dive into the evolution of our brain. We actually have three brains: the reptilian, the limbic, and the neocortex. They each have developed at different times and they each have a different role, right? Our reptilian brain is your fight, flight, feed, fornicate, right? It's that animalistic part of your brain. It is the part of your brain that takes over and drives the things you need to stay alive. A threat shows up, your reptilian brain takes over and says, you must run, get away from the tiger. It's the thing that tells you, ooh, stand your ground. You can beat this one, right? Like, don't allow this threat to push you away. It's what's like, ooh, I want to go, I'm hungry, I want to eat. Or fornicating, reproducing, keeping the species alive. After our reptilian brain, our limbic brain developed. Now, our limbic brain, that mammalian brain, is your place of emotions, memories, motor control, decision making. This is kind of the part that helps us reflect, interact with other people, right? Our speaking, it's what sets us apart from animals, right? Motor control is in this area. And then we have the neocortex. This was the last part of the brain to develop. And now this is the human brain, right? Sensory perception, cognition, reasoning, language. This is the most advanced portion of our brain. The problem is that when fear shows up, 2 and 3 go offline because your reptilian brain, its job, just like fear, that sensory perception, its job is to keep you alive. And so when fear hits, when fear starts talking to you, you can't get to the limbic brain to think through your emotions, your feelings, what you want. You can't reflect on the memories. And you definitely can't move into your neocortex, the human brain, to be able to reason, rationalize, ponder, and decide what you want. They're offline. You cannot get to them. If you are in an emotional experience, you cannot logically rationalize your way out of it. Think about the last time you saw a 2-year-old throwing a tantrum. When you told them, no, they could not have the Snickers because we already have candy at home, did it matter? No. The reptilian brain, the feed desire was activated and they wanted it and they wanted it now. The same happens to us as adults. And the more we feed fear, right? The more we stay in that reptilian brain, the less skilled we are at moving through the three different parts of our brain. Here's the other part that's really challenging. I want you to think about anything that's going on in the world today. Do we focus on abundance? Do we focus on safety? Or do we focus on fear? What's marketing look like? You better do this or you won't have the friends or the fitness or the whatever you're looking for, right? Our news stories, everything is wired around a me versus you. That is a fear based way of thinking, and it sets us up for failure. Hello, my name is Fear, and I'm here to F you up. This is actually one of my favorite images. So, for those of you who are listening along, this is what I want you to picture. There is a tiny little red gremlin type monster sitting on your shoulder. Does a little round furry thing. I don't know if it's the Muppets, if it's the Gremlins. You know what it is. What's that book? Where the wild things are? Just a monstery looking thing. And it's red and it's teeny tiny and it's sitting on your shoulder and it's whispering in your ear and it's saying, "Ooh, are you sure you want to do that? Oh, I don't know if you can actually wear that. I don't know that it looks good," right? It is constantly whispering in your ear, telling you all the reasons that you can't have what you want, you can't be who you want, you can't do what you want. It's fear. And it's trying to keep you safe. It's trying to keep you small. It's trying to keep you from any sort of harm, right? If you wore something that other people laughed at you or talked to you about, that would hurt your feelings. Except for the thing is that when we love who we are and love what we're doing and love other people for who they are, we don't really care what anybody's wearing. We don't have time to sit in a judgmental space. But every time fear-based thoughts show up, I just want you to imagine this little red monster. Teeny tiny little monster is how he starts. But the more we lean into him, the more we go, "Ooh, you might be right," the bigger and bigger and bigger he gets. So, why does fear keep us stuck? Guess what? It is not your fault. It is not your fault. There are so many things working against you because we now live in a society that is fueled by fear. So, whereas we used to take a little rest, whereas we used to be able to unplug, we are now constantly connected to everybody else. We're constantly connected to the news stories. We're constantly having conversations around how things should be or what we want things to change. And because of this, that little fear monster is bigger and bigger and bigger. And it creates almost like imagine a spider web in your body, little fear based thoughts, webs that link one to the other, to the other, to the other. So while they seem very disconnected, once one gets pulled on, they all start to get activated. So let's talk about why this is keeping us stuck. Now, I'm going to guess that in your relationship, your marriage, or with your partner, when you first started dating, you might have fought a little bit. And what that probably looked like is, you fought, you got upset, maybe you took a little space, and then you came back together and you apologized and you moved through it. But the longer this pattern happened, right? Fight, then flight, then fight, then flight, then fight, then flight. The longer it happened, the more aggravated your nervous system became. Your emotions were not being regulated. They were getting bigger and bigger, and it was building up, just like that spider web, right? So every single fight tied to the previous fight to the previous fight until you got to a point where your nervous system was now in a freeze, a state of freeze. I don't know what to do. I don't know. Do I want to continue to fight? Do I just want to leave the house? What do I want to do? This is how we all get stuck because when there is a little bit of a threat to our system and our nervous system goes whoop, the alarm system goes off and goes, whoop, you should be afraid. There's a fear. There's a fear. There's something about your safety. When it's every once in a while, we're living in a cave and every once in a while the saber-toothed tiger walks by. Hey, then our body reacts. It spikes in the system, the cortisol, the stress reaction, the heart rate increases. Why? Because we're getting ready to decide, do we need to fight the saber-toothed tiger or are we running away? Are we flighting away? And then the saber-toothed tiger would move on and we would calm back down and we'd have a very boring existence for a while. We are not boring anymore. And so we are going fight, flight into freeze. And there's even a new response our system has, which is fawn. All four of these reactions in our body are there to help protect us. And they come from your automatic nervous system. All right. Next science lesson. The automatic nervous system is comprised of two parts: your sympathetic nervous system and your parasympathetic nervous system. Now, this nervous system, again, automatic, means that it runs on its own. We don't have to tell our heart to beat. We don't even have to tell ourselves to take a breath. But, cool fact, your breath, we can tell ourselves, take a deep breath, and the body breathes in and breathes out, and it stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system. We can't tell our heart rate to slow down. We can't say, silly body, we're safe, we're fine. You don't need to be so tense right now. Crazy body, stop producing all that cortisol. Let me go to sleep tonight. I'm totally fine. We can't do that. It runs on its own. That's why it's called an automatic nervous system. And it is comprised of all of these nerves and connection points throughout the body. So, sympathetic nervous system. This is your fight or flight. This is the part of our nervous system we most often talk about: fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. This is what creates an increased heart rate, increased breathing. It helps with your alertness, right? When you hear those stories, the mom flipped a car over because it was on her child, sympathetic nervous system, crazy human strength. We don't know where it comes from, but the system kicks in and goes, we must do this. Now, your sympathetic nervous system can commandeer your physical and emotional resources in a split second. It's your reptilian brain, you guys. In a split second, it goes, whoop, I need all of the resources to keep this human alive. It doesn't give you a chance to think. It doesn't give you a chance to say, there's a saber-toothed tiger. I wonder, what should I do about it? There's no time to ponder. It is there to keep you alive. It takes over your resources and it decides in a split second. Now, the other side of our nervous system is called the parasympathetic nervous system. This part of our system is the rest and digest. This is where muscles relax. This is where your heart rate and your blood pressure decrease. This is when you return to feeling calm, composed. You're open to connection with others. You can talk, you can ponder, you can think, you can dream, you can wish. Now, back in the day, we'd have a stimulating event of our sympathetic nervous system. The body takes up, right? It picks up. We're ready. And then when that thing passes, when it's done, parasympathetic nervous system kicks in. We slow down, we breathe. Maybe we connect with other people. Maybe we go for a walk. Overall, the world back in the day, not that long ago, but whatever, right? Back in the day, we walked a lot more than we do right now. I mean, think about it. You don't even have to walk to go get lunch anymore. You just Uber Eats it to your door and it shows up. All of these forms of convenience in our life, while somewhat helpful, have actually taken away the times that we got to be in the parasympathetic nervous system. Things are really busy at work or things are really stressful in your home life. What do you give up first? Oh, I don't have time to go to the gym. I need to stay up later and get this stuff done. If I just work a little bit harder, longer, sleep less, I can catch up and then I can bring those things back in. But the reality is that a lot of times we don't ever bring those things back in until we have a big shift in our life. And this is where, over the course of years, your body has been ramping up. Your nervous system has been staying in the sympathetic nervous system side, that fight, flight, freeze, or fawn, instead of allowing it to drop into the rest and digest. And that shows up as paralyzing your thoughts, as keeping you stuck from being able to make a decision. It's why when you're sitting there looking at, do I stay or do I go? You're so torn because your system doesn't feel like it's safe to be able to leave. What am I going to do about money? Is this going to hurt my kids? What am I going to do with the house? What if he makes things even more miserable? But it also doesn't allow you to tap into, this is no longer the right fit. This isn't a healthy situation for any one of us. I want all of us to find love and respect and fulfillment in our relationships. So the automatic nervous system is stopping your ability to be able to make these decisions. And it isn't just about staying or going in your marriage, right? You're in a separated phase. Do you want to move forward with the divorce or not? Do you want to text your ex back right now or not? If when you see your ex's name pop up on your phone, your whole system goes like, maybe you get a wave of heat, right? Maybe your heart rate intensifies. Maybe you feel tension in your muscles. Dude, that is an instant sympathetic nervous system hit. Instant. It does not take a lot. And you might be like, oh, I went for a walk and I feel so good and I feel so relaxed. And then boom, text pops through. Or partner says something that's really annoying. Or they didn't take the garbage out like they said. Back in the sympathetic nervous system. Back in the override that we need to help our body get out of. If you're feeling overwhelmed, exhausted from overthinking, and stuck in uncertainty, this message is for you. You don't have to keep feeling that way. Inside the club, you'll find a safe space to rediscover who you are, clarify what you want, and determine how you want to move forward. Surrounded by women who truly understand and guided by expert support, you are not alone on this journey. Join us at thecrazyexwivesclub.com/the club. It's time to reclaim your life. So between the stimulus, between the stressor and the response, there is space. And in that space is our power to choose our response. And in our response lies our growth and our freedom. This is the space you are claiming. Between the stimulus, the experience, the thing that is now causing your spidey senses to go off, and the reaction that you're going to take from it is your power. That is your ability to be able to say, what do I want to do? Is this real or not? Is this a thing I need to react to right now or not? Am I in the right headspace to be reacting to this right now or not? 90% of the things that drive you nuts on a daily basis shift when we change how we choose to see them. Because when we change our emotional connection to it, it changes the reaction that we take from it, which changes the results that we're getting. So, what do we need to do to break free? It's time to give fear the old heave ho. Throw it out. It doesn't get to run the show anymore. It doesn't get to steer the ship. It sure as hell doesn't get to tell you what you're able to do or not do. Here are the steps that you are going to take if fear is ruling your life. So, if you're looking at your day to day and you find that over 51% of your thoughts are negative, are fear-based, are anxiety, are worry, then the first thing you need to do is calm your system. If that much of your life is being run by that little voice that is over there talking shit about what you really want to do, the first thing we need to do is calm your nervous system because your physical body is on edge. Your physical body is living in that sympathetic nervous system in the fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. And as long as your system is activated and aggravated, we can't get to those deeper, pondering, rational parts of our mind. You stay stuck in your reptilian mind and you cannot find your way out. There is no way to think yourself through a problem that is causing a physical response in the body. So first, we calm the system. This means you need to actively create better balance in your automatic nervous system. Increase the time you spend in rest and digest, meditation, yoga, going for a walk, movement. I will say this, you guys, and we've talked about this on the podcast. Not all exercise is created equal, and not all exercise is going to be good for you if you're already in a highly stressed state. If you're already in a highly stressed state, going to a spin class that puts even more stressors on the body is actually not helping you feel any better. It's pushing you more into that sympathetic nervous system. So this is where you've got to start to look at what feels good in my body, what feels good in my mind. I love guided meditations. There's tons of free apps out there. I've done a whole bunch of the free apps. What was I on the Calm app for a while? There's also a ton of YouTube clips. I 100% pay for YouTube because I don't want to hear the commercials in it. But being able to put on that guided meditation, and it doesn't have to be an hour. In fact, the more you reset more often, it takes less time. So one of my best practices is I used to set a miracle minute, a mindset reminder every hour on the hour. I can tell you that my coworkers, because at this point I worked in the office, they were not a fan of this, but every hour my alarm would go off and I would take 30 seconds to just tap into like, I feel good right now. I feel safe. Or I'd have a picture of my son and I'd be like, tap into those little kid feelings, right? I really love my son, or favorite color, or a funny meme. Every hour on the hour, I'd take 30 seconds to line back up to like, I feel good, I feel safe, I feel calm. We're resetting, resetting, resetting constantly. In fact, resetting every hour on the hour is going to do more than one 90-minute yoga session at the end of the day. Because what's happening is, think about like heart-centered alignment. Your hands are together, like, in yoga where you palms together, thumbs pressed into your chest bone. Okay, heart-centered. What happens is you're going about your day, you're all lined up. You're like, ooh, I feel good. I'm juicy. I feel awesome. This is amazing. Boom. Something knocks your self out of your heart centeredness. There was a jerk asshole driver on the way to work and they cut me off. And then that really pissed me off. And now I fumed about it for the last 20 minutes of my work. Or something as simple as like, boom, the music really sucked on the carpool today, on the drive to work today. No karaoke carpool for you. Okay, that knocks you out. You go to a meeting and it doesn't go the way you want. Your ex texts you and it pisses you off. All these things all day long are like swinging in to like hit you and knock you out of heart center. And our goal is bring yourself back to heart center. Heart center is when you feel calm, you feel composed, you can tap into feelings of love and grace and acceptance. You don't have to be happy, you don't have to be excited, you just have to feel at peace with where you are in this exact minute. And that's really hard to do when your life is in a really big shift, when there's a lot of uncertainty that's coming up. So, we're not asking you to solve all the problems in one fell swoop. I'm asking you to tune into, like, okay, in this very minute for these next 5 breaths, I feel okay. And when you strengthen that muscle, you do it again and you do it again and you do it again. And it starts lasting longer and longer and longer. Okay. So your first step, if fear is running the show in your head, is to calm your system. Now, the second step is you need to ignore the fear monster. Tell it to fuck off. So when those little thoughts show up, when you start thinking, at first we don't even realize we're thinking it. And that's because it's been running for a long time. It's a narrative, it's a movie that has a lot of momentum, it has a lot of speed. It probably has a lot of facts and a lot of proof in your life. There's a lot of places you can point out that your ex has made things more difficult for you. There's a lot of proof you can find to say, oh, this divorce is going to impact my kids. And there's a lot of proof you can find for the other side. It is all about how we choose to see things and what we're leaning into, right? So when those fear-based thoughts start, that little fear monster, visualize that fear monster. Say, hey, I see you, not stepping into it right now. It's all you have to just acknowledge. Acknowledge the fear. Hey, I see you. Guess what? That is a very real fear to be worried about how your kids are going to handle the divorce. Valid. Not something we have to solve right now, but valid. I'm listening to you. I hear what your concern is. And me, as the adult in control of my body, not you, little fear gremlin monster, I'm going to do some research. I'm going to find the right resources. I'm going to find the right support so that if that is the answer, we have what we need to get through it. Right? So now that you know the fear monster feeds off your worry, stop feeding it. Stop leaning into those thoughts. When they start, visualize a train. There's a train speeding 90 miles an hour. Take some of its power away. When the worry comes up, another really great tool is the karate chop. I've talked about this. One hand is open, the other hand tap the pinky side of your palm, that whole part, tap it into your open hand. What's happening is that you're stimulating a little pressure point between your fourth and fifth knuckle, and it actually helps to calm and regulate your system. So karate chop, I am safe. That's a really big fear. Let's stick on this kid one. Yeah, that's a really big fear. I am worried about how my son is going to handle the divorce, but right now, I know he's okay. Today, I know I'm okay. Today, I know that I'm going to be able to find the help I need. We're safe. I'm safe. Nothing is changing right now in this moment. Okay. Repeat the karate chop as often as needed. Now, the other thing that I told you, I mentioned earlier, your breath. It's the only way you can stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system. And we need to stimulate the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest part of your nervous system, so that the fear starts to calm down. Okay. So take a deep breath, 5 deep breaths, 5 deep belly breaths. Put both hands on your belly, breathing in through your nose. Feel that belly push those hands out and then breathe out and let it push out. There's a ton of different breath activities. You guys, we talk about them all the time. Breathing in and out on the same count. There's something called box breathing into a count of, let's say, 4, hold for 4, out for 4, hold for 4, right? You can increase the time as you get better at it. There's things like breath of fire where you're breathing really fast and furious in and out, in and out, in and out to cleanse and purify and bring a rush of new energy in. It's just breath is a super powerful tool. So if you're feeling like, oh God, the fear monster, it just won't shut up today, it won't shut up. Use your tools. Put on a meditation, tune into your breath, karate chop your hand. All these things are trying to bring you back to this present moment right here, which is the last tip. The last tip is stop future tripping. It's one of my favorite words, future tripping. When you are experiencing fear, worry, anxiety, you are future tripping about a future that you don't even know is going to come true. So, worry and anxiety, they come from projecting out into the future, out into an uncertainty, and believing that the worst is going to happen. You're writing stories of things that haven't happened yet, and they're not guaranteed to happen. You can project out and worry that your kids are not going to be okay through this divorce. Do you know that? Is that really the way? Can you find examples of kids who have thrived through their divorce and after the divorce of their parents? For sure. So we need to take our mind back to the present moment, bringing it back to the present moment, challenging those negative thoughts and saying, is that true? Is that true without a doubt? Do I know that that's actually going to happen? And when we bring ourselves back to the present moment, guess what? Now we're in a space where we can ignore that fear monster. We're using our breath, we're tuning into our body. This here, right now, I am okay. All of these steps, so calming your system, ignoring the fear monster, and stop future tripping, get you out of that reptilian mind and help you to build a connection with your body so that you can start to hear your true thoughts. I read a book once, I've talked about it. It's called Untethered, I believe. I do not know who the author is. I've shared this story because I started the book. It's like on my shelf forever. And then it was all over the news. And I was like, I should probably finally read it. I opened it up. I think I read the first couple of pages and I got what I needed. And what it talked about was that internal voice. Because mine was running rampant. I had no idea who was talking. And I couldn't believe everyone's like, oh, meditate and just stop all thought. And I was like, I think I'm going nuts because the thoughts don't stop. They don't stop because fear was in control, right? My worry, my anxiety, my projecting, my controlling was out of control. So in the book Untethered, he talks about the fact that that little voice, the ego voice in your mind, it's like the mean girl in high school, but she's sitting on your couch and she's talking to you all the time. And she's telling you like how crappy you are and how nothing is ever going to work out for you. And if somebody were actually talking to you like that in real life, would you want them over? Would you be friends with them? No. So why do we let this little fear monster take up space in our head? Why do we invite him in? We're like, sure, live rent free. You can like rule the roost and control everything. The only reason he's there is because we didn't realize he was slowly taking control. And now you know what you can do to regain control because here's the other part of it. What happens is that we get so stuck, our system gets so activated, sitting in this space of do I stay or do I go? How am I interacting with my soon to be ex? What am I worried about for my future? Finances, home, kids, future love life, starting over. Those are huge, huge transitions in your life. It is a right to feel uncertain about them. But fear and excitement feel the same way. And so when we learn how to regain control over those thoughts, when we're like little fear monster, like flick them right off your shoulder, be like, peace out, buddy. I'm here and I'm going to be able to make these decisions because I'm smart and I'm powerful and I have great resources and I have friends and family that support me. You are far more powerful than you think, and fear is what is stopping you. So, next time you're sitting at the crossroads of a decision that you have to make, I want you to close your eyes and tune inward. Maybe put your hands on your chest, on your heart. And I want you to ask yourself, when you look at that question, the answer that your mind is saying, does it feel like fear or does it feel like freedom? And if that thought feels like fear, like, hey, I don't know if I should get divorced because what's it going to do to my kids? If that feels like fear, fear feels constricting, fear feels tight, fear feels anxious, like, oh, I can't sit still. I can't sit still. I can't get my thoughts to focus on anything. That's fear. That's fake news. It isn't real. It isn't known. You can't guarantee it's going to happen. It is highlighting something that your body's asking you to regulate. It's asking you to explore. Okay, hey, right to be scared about how divorce is going to impact my kids. Maybe I need to do a little research. I bought a bunch of books. I bought books. I took my son to a couple therapy appointments because I needed to understand what was going on in his mind and in his body and how I could help. I didn't talk to friends that much because guess what? They weren't divorced. They didn't know how to help. And a lot of times their answers were not as helpful. And they just stirred up more fear. Why? Because they have their own fears and their own insecurities. And you being empowered to reclaim control over your fears, it's gonna rock the boat a little bit. It's gonna put people being like, whoa, what's going on right now? But when you challenge that fear monster, when you regain control over the fear in your mind, without a doubt, what you want to do and what the next best steps are, and you can operate from a space of love and abundance. Like, hey, I'm not operating from a space of I'm afraid that something's going to get worse. I'm operating from a space of I know that this is the right answer for us and I want to move forward. So if you are struggling, you guys, please come join us in the club. It is why we are here, to hold space for your fears and your worries, to hold you up while you're getting your feet underneath you, and to help you work through this bullshit that stops us because it continues to haunt us. If we don't learn how to regain control over fear, it does run our lives. And I said it before, doesn't necessarily look like fear, like, oh, I'm so afraid. It looks like anger. It looks like resentment. It looks like bitterness. It looks like insecurity. It looks like you start dating somebody and all of a sudden you want to check their phone and you get all like weird, like, where have you been? How come you're not texting me back? Even when they're fully showing up for you, that's fear. You don't want that shit in your life anymore. And whether you stay or go in your marriage, it is going to be crucial for you to learn how to distinguish when is fear running the show and when am I. So take your power back. See that little critter sitting on the couch next to you, the mean girl in high school, and tell it to piss off. Tell it to go away. Acknowledge it. Hey, I hear you, and I'm not believing you anymore. I don't really think that that's the only answer. So if you guys want more information on the club, go to thecrazyexwivesclub.com/the club. There are monthly and annual membership offers, but it is about getting you the support so that you can move through this. In fact, in the signature program, the whole first module is diving deep into how to calm your system. It's the first step. We cannot start to define what you want, and we definitely can't start to take action until we untangle what is real and what is fake. I'm sure you guys have heard fear, false evidence appearing real. We're going to knock that out. We're going to help you connect. Remember I said that, like, hands, palms together, hands at heart center, that feeling. That is what you get to reclaim and that you are doing every single day. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. Will you do me a favor? If you love this episode, drop a little review on it, share it. You don't have to be contemplating divorce to be sitting in a situation where fear is kicking your ass. And so if you have any friends who are struggling with the fear, the unknown, the transitions, maybe they got laid off, send them this. It works the same way. We need to calm our system. We need to ignore the fear monster. And then we need to stop future tripping and stay in the present moment. And when we do these three things, we are truly unstoppable. You guys, until we're back next week, give yourself a little grace. Tell that fear monster to fuck off and reach out if there's anything else I can do to support you. And that's it. Another great episode of the Crazy Ex-Wives Club, a podcast for women learning how to heal from their divorce. Tune in next week for more advice and tips to help you figure out life after divorce. And until then, give yourself grace, do the best you can, and know that this is all part of the process.